And Florida quit tonight. I think it's pretty simple. I really didn't watch much of the second half because there wasn't much to be watched. Anthony Richardson was in the concussion protocol. I think it was tweeted out by Edgar Thompson that he was able to go in case of emergency, and which meant Emory Jones got the nod. Emory Jones had a taped up thumb. He had a cast walking into the stadium. And I don't think it really would have mattered because nobody really showed up to play other than Justin Shorter. The offensive line, there was a couple of guys out. DeLance was one of them. Defense didn't have any heart. And I mean, I think that's it. I think that's the staff has got to go. And as I told Terry like 5-10 minutes ago, if you're just joining us, there's too many inconsistencies with this team. The first 4 games, it was okay. Florida's a run team. Florida has a really good run defense, and the secondary is pitiful. Then it turned into Florida can't run the ball against Kentucky, has really good defense still. And then the LSU game, Emory Jones is out. Richardson comes in. Okay, so you find an offense. You still score 42, but then the defense gives up 300 yards rushing. And then against Georgia, defense is good. And then the offense kind of implodes late in the first half. That was the game, 21 points. Richardson being a freshman, having freshman mistakes. Then tonight, everybody quit. And also I'll add to this, Dan Mullen has given a lot of 1-word, 2-word answers to the media. I don't know if you guys saw, I'm sure most of you have. Monday, he always talks to the media at 1 o'clock. Usually an assistant coach will talk and players. He shut it down to players and the assistant coaches for the rest of the week this week. Mullen only spoke for I think 10, 15 minutes when he usually goes 20 to 30. A lot of things are head scratchers, a lot of inconsistencies, and I think a lot of things will change at the University of Florida around the football program. And that first Sunday after Florida plays FSU, win or lose, I don't think it really matters what Florida does the last 3 games of the year. And I think Dan Mullen's doing this for a reason. I think Dan Mullen wants a reason to be let go. And I don't think he'll be fired. I think he just find a way to get out the door and find a way to get to another program, either in college or in the NFL. I think he can't succeed in the NFL. I used the example with Cliff Kingsbury earlier, a guy that didn't win in college, a guy that didn't really care for recruiting. But if you give him the personnel, a guy that doesn't have to go out and get the players to come in, a guy that can draw up the X's and O's, and that's the only thing he has to do. I think he can succeed that way. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I think that's something that Dan Mullen can do if an NFL team wants to give him an offer. It was reported Rick Neuheisel went on Sirius XM this week and said, Florida, Dan Mullen's tired of this. I don't know what this is at Florida, but I don't know if it's recruiting. I don't know if it's tired of the fan base constantly being on top of them, wanting the expectation to be national championship or SEC or bust. But that's where the state of the program is, and that's what Florida fans want. And that's what you get when you lose to Alabama close, then you lose to Kentucky, and you lose to LSU, you lose to Georgia the way you did. So that's my 2 cents. As I'll now get to you guys' comments. As I apologize, I haven't gotten to in the first 30 minutes. So I like this from George. If I can't get Joe Brady, I'd give Frost a chance. Maybe Orgeron as his DC. I like Orgeron on the staff. I don't like Orgeron as the head coach. Orgeron's a great recruiter. Obviously, knows the SEC well. Knows defense real well. Scott Frost, okay, possibly. I would go. This is who I would go with, and this would be my pecking order. I would get Mel Tucker. If I can get Mel Tucker, he would be my number 1. He's been on the staff with Nick Saban at Alabama and at LSU. He's been with Kirby Smart at Georgia, so obviously knows the SEC well. Went to Colorado. I think he spent a few years there, maybe 2 to be exact. Was good there, and then look what he's done at Michigan State in basically an hour at the program. I know they lost today, but that was a program that hasn't been good since they went to the playoff in 2015. I think they had one win last year, and they were 8-0 coming into tonight. Again, I know they lost to Purdue, but Mel Tucker would be a guy that I would go after. Joe Brady would be another guy that I would go after. There's just I don't know, and I'm not going to be. I know this was some of the narrative coming into today about if Florida, some of the fans that didn't want to get rid of Dan Mullen was, well, who are you going to get? That's you can't go by that. There's so many guys in the world of college football that want the Florida Gator job as a head coach. If you look at every head coaching job, and this is how I look at it, if every head coaching job is open, and if you have a position, and if the program gets the right guy, they should win. If USC finds the right guy, they beat everybody in the Pac-12. If Oklahoma has the right guy, regardless of how good whatever Texas has, Oklahoma should run through the Pac-12. If Ohio State has the right guy, they should run through the Big Ten. And Florida's in that same category outside of Alabama and the SEC. So, and that's the thing. That's the question you have to ask. And I think Florida has to have that right guy, and Florida has to jump on it because LSU job is open. That's a sexy job. The USC job is open. You have to get a guy because, well, you have the early signing period in mid-December. So you have 3 games. Obviously, Florida's not going to the SEC championship. And then you have 3 weeks where you have to hit recruiting hard, and then you have signing day. And the vast majority of guys, I think it's like 80%, sign on that first signing period. So whatever. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is Scott Strickland has to make he has to make a point of emphasis. Do you stick with Dan Mullen or do you not? And if you stick with him, do you keep your staff? Obviously, that answer has to be no. You have to get rid of Todd Grantham. You have to get rid of Hevesy. You have to get rid of the majority of the staff. That has to be known the Sunday after Florida plays Florida State. So that's what Florida's at right now. Luke Fickell's another guy. I don't think – and this is another thing, too, that Florida fans have to consider. You have to think about fit. Would Luke Fickell fit in the SEC, and would he fit at Florida? Now, he's been at Ohio State, and he's done well at Cincinnati, but I always go back to this. When Florida, the last head coaching vacancy, the last time the job was open, it was Scott Frost was the number 1 guy. Then it was Chip Kelly, and then it was Dan Mullen. Scott Frost, I think, would have done well had he came to Florida. He recruited well at UCF and shopped it up well. I think he could have done that a little bit better here at Florida. And I know people want to say that, Nebraska. I think Nebraska's different. You can't. No, Scott Frost can't get anybody to Nebraska. With Chip Kelly, I think Chip Kelly would have worked, but I don't think he would have stayed long because I don't think Chip Kelly would have want to be in the spotlight. Dan Mullen is constantly in the spotlight. Fans are on top of him 24/7. They're on top of him with recruiting, winning at a high level, zero patience. I mean, if you go back to his first season, fans were on top of him then because Florida lost to Kentucky and Missouri in his first season. Chip Kelly can develop a program, but he needs time. And I wonder if Luke Fickell would have to do that. And I wonder if Luke Fickell would like that. I don't think Luke Fickell would. That's why I think Mel Tucker would be a good guy. I think Joe Brady would be a good guy because he knows the SEC and knows what he's walking into. I told the story a couple of weeks ago about Lane Kiffin. When Lane Kiffin, he had the job at the Oakland Raiders as an NFL head coach, and his dad was Monty Kiffin, a successful coordinator in the NFL. And then he takes the Tennessee head coaching job in 2009, and the AD at Tennessee at the time said, your life's about to change. And Lane Kiffin's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've been a head coach at so-and-so. I've been around. He goes, no. The most important people in the state of Tennessee are going to be Dolly Parton, whoever the governor is, and you. And he quickly saw the difference on how fans react in the SEC and how everything is consumed, and college football in the South is religion. So that has to be a factor. And I don't think Luke Fickell. I'm not saying he couldn't, but I don't know if he would want that if he comes to Florida. And I'm going through a lot of your comments. And Terry said this. I think Florida, they need a sexy guy. They need someone to look what has worked in the last 30 years. Spurrier and Meyer and Dan Mullen too a little bit. Spurrier was well ahead of his time. He was 20 years before ahead of his time, airing it out, didn't care what people thought. Mullen recruited at a high level, had a great staff. Spurrier knew he didn't have a good defense, knew he needed help with the defense, so he got Bob Stoops. Mullen was a great CEO. Mullen had Charlie Strong and Dan Mullen as his coordinators. And Mullen hasn't been able to do that. So who's the next guy? Who can do that? Okay, so this is something I don't agree with here, Nick. Mullen inherited McElwain's players. Yeah, he did inherit McElwain's players. Dan Mullen inherited McElwain's players and made them great. Look at all the players that were drafted that were awful under McElwain. You look at Freddie Swain. Freddie Swain would have never been drafted under McElwain, and he was drafted under Dan Mullen. Kadarius Toney would be a third day guy in the draft. Would have been drafted 4 through 7. He was a first-round pick. This is your number 4. You're number 4. These are your dudes. And this is the product you have on the field. This is all Dan Mullen. And this is all recruiting. And today the guys quit. I mean, this is the biggest thing to me, and this is just one example, and I could go many ways. Ventrell Miller got hurt early in the year, your middle linebacker. If your middle linebacker goes out and you poop your pants because you don't have nobody to back him up, that's an issue. Because now you've seen, well, Jeremiah Moon has to go from the edge rusher to the middle. You had to go Brent Cox, who should only be an edge rusher, has had to go dropping coverage. That's not him. And they've had to adjust everybody in the front 7 because Ventrell Miller is not solidifying the anchor in the middle. That's an issue. And that all goes back to recruiting. Something that Matt Hayes, if you guys didn't see, Terry Norvell was on with me earlier with College Sports Today. Think about all of the talent that has left the state of Florida within the last 5 years. I saw a stat at Media Days, and this is crazy to believe. If you count the amount of 5-stars that Alabama's had since 2016, I think it was 22. Alabama has had 22 5-stars go to Alabama since 2016 from the state of Florida. That's Jerry Jeudy, that's Patrick Surtain, that's Tyson Campbell, among the few. Florida State, and Miami, if you combine those 3 schools, can't get to the same number that Alabama has by itself. And that's an issue. That doesn't happen if Miami has its guy. That doesn't happen with Bobby Bowden. That doesn't happen with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer gets those Bosa brothers. Urban Meyer gets Jerry Jeudy. Urban Meyer gets Sean Wade, the defensive back. He gets Tyreek Johnson from Jacksonville. Carson Beck, who's now at Georgia, does not leave Jacksonville, and he doesn't go to Georgia. Those guys stay in state, and that's where it all begins. Jacksonville has been a hotbed. Jacksonville, the talent, and that's where I'm from, so I'll stay with Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville, the talent has exploded. And obviously, you've had talent years past. You've had Lito Shepherd. You've had Gus Scott. You've had Tim Tebow, obviously. Ryan Stamper. But the talent has exploded. And then I think another stat that I saw, Florida and Dan Mullen's only had 5 guys of the top 50 in the state. That's an issue. And one of the main reasons, and not to get off topic, one of the main reasons why USC let go of Clay Helton was because all of the talent was leaving the state. Look around. Georgia starting quarterback, well, supposed to be JT Daniels from the state of California. DJU at Clemson from the state of California. There's another Ohio State. Their starting quarterback Stroud is from the state of California. That's an issue. You can't have that. And when you're not relatable to the players, specifically in your state, you have to go, and the next man's got to come in.